near side, dangles around the defender, shoots, big blocker save. And now we're going to get some fisticuffs thrown around here. All back with another episode of the Blizz Show podcast brought to you by H&R Block. We're inside Larson Ice Center. I mentioned in the last episode with Sam Antonucci that we've been in and out of the rink occasionally. We're inside the rink because it's just too daggone cold in the rink and it's too cold outside, so we're just going to stay in the warm area. But we are here with the other goaltender. Now, we had McLean Dorr a couple of weeks ago. The other big man is here, 6', 19-year-old monster from St. Louis, Missouri. It's Jack Caruso. He's on the Blizz Show podcast. The St. Louis product. What's up, Jack?
What up? How's it going?
Doing good. First time you ever done one of these things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The nerves are running through, I bet.
Yeah, it should be good, though. Tell a few stories, and, yeah, it should be good.
Exactly. You're a pretty smooth talker. All you got to do is be a smooth talker.
Right.
It's not a matter of, do I have a good voice or not? It's just a matter of being able to talk. So, the difference is I've been doing it for 10-plus years, so you've done it for one episode. So, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, man. All right, so let's get started with you out in Missouri. So the childhood of growing up in Missouri. Now, I've been to St. Louis. I love going there. I've been up in the Golden Gate. I've been up in the Arch. That is a very cool sight to behold, is going up in the Arch. I've been to Cardinals games. I went to a Blues game, I think, one time, if I remember correctly. But the St. Louis area is just a really great place to grow up from an outside perspective. What was it like for you? Yeah,
people from the outside kind of, they don't really think too much of it. But just growing up there, it's real, tight community. There's everything you need to do there. We hockey team, baseball team. We lost our football team, but
we'll get to that.
Yeah. No, but it's really good. And the best part is everything's 10-15 minute drive, nothing too bad. And yeah, I love living there, and I always I'll look forward to going back.
Yeah, we talk about all the teams, the sports teams that you have at the option to go and watch. So away from the hockey rink and kind of away from sports a little bit, kind of focusing a little bit on your family. I know you're a big family guy through and through. That's basically, you wear it on your wrist for goodness sake. So you're a family man through and through. Just kind of describe what your life was like growing up with your family in St. Louis.
It was awesome. I have two brothers and a younger sister, and then obviously my mom and dad. We try to do as much as we can together, and then extending that, we have a lake house. Then we'll share that with our cousins and everything, aunts, uncles, and our grandparents, of course. And then so basically, just keeps us all together and keeps us, just always, in contact. And we text back and forth. They're always wondering how I'm doing here, and just keep telling them it's really cold, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it's windy, and it's just brutal. And this is your first year away from St. Louis. Am I right about that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that makes it even worse that it's freezing even more than it normally is in Missouri.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make it any better, but being on the ice, I'm sure, also makes up for it as well. But away from the rink, before we get to actual part of hockey growing up in St. Louis, you mentioned a little bit about you have your mom, your dad, your brothers, and your sister. Was there one of those people in particular that you looked up to the most kind of growing up and gave you some really good advice growing up as a kid?
All of them for sure, in their own unique ways. And then just in particular, I think my dad, just growing up always around the rink and seeing what he did, and kind of gave me a different perspective on hockey. And I think it definitely benefited me today. Yeah, I'd probably just say him, and always my mom. She was always there for me. She'd always go on the trips because my dad couldn't. He was always out of town. Yeah. So growing up, my mom was always on the trips while all the other hockey dads were on the trips. And It was different, but she loved it. She loved going to the games and watching me play.
So for those who don't know, tell the audience what your dad does with the St. Louis Blues organization.
So he does he's a public relations, which basically, he's always dealing with the players. And for us, it was good to have my brothers and I and my sister. We were always able to go down to the rink and spend time, with other players and everything, and just kind of see that side of it where from a fan perspective on the outside you don't really see that sort of thing. But for us, it was real unique and a really cool experience.
And being able to connect with hockey and the Blues in your childhood had to have obviously motivated you to be where you are today. And you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for being able to go to Blues games and go into those games. So talk about your connection with the Blues growing up as a kid and just what that whole kind of relationship with the St. Louis Blues meant to you.
Yeah, my uncle had tickets behind the glass for
that's right.
a number of years. So basically, whoever was able to go, we'd all go, and I tried to go as much as possible. And my Uncle Joe, he would, pick us up at latest possible 6:40 for a 7 o'clock game. We'd race down there, and they would all watch the play. I'd kind of watch the goalies, just kind of pick up a few things. And, for me today, I think that's where I just kind of learned little details along the way for a number of goalies that I watched.
Has it always been goalie for you, or have you always wanted to be a forward, or has it just always been and you want to be a goalie?
I tried playing forward. I couldn't skate, so
I would love to have seen that.
Went to goalie. Yeah, well, okay, so my two other older brothers, they were both forwards, and, just did what they did, played forward. And the biggest thing was I didn't like, getting off the ice. I always wanted to play, and so now I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to be a goalie, and kind of helped I couldn't skate, so it was an excuse to get out of forward. And so, yeah, I just took off from there, and it was a long journey, but, it's worked out so far. And
yeah. I would say so. That excuse got you all the way to high school, where you played with the Christian Brothers College high school place. And, you told me away from the camera just your journey there, and I'm excited for you to share it with the audience as well, because the journey that you went through at Christian Bros College is just fascinating to me. The fact that you started out as kind of like the third-string goaltender, and then you made the leap to making the starting goaltender, and you won a couple of state championships. And just kind of tell the audience what it was like for your experience there.
Best 4 years ever. It was a roller coaster, though. So the hockey standpoint, my freshman year, I was I'd like to say I was third, but I was fourth.
Yeah.
But as a freshman, it is what it is. But then going into my sophomore year, a couple things happened, and next thing you know, I'm looking like I have a good shot at competing for the starting job. And we had a really good team that year, so it was kind of like a wake up call for me. Like, all right, this is a big opportunity, and just kind of took it and ran with it. And then from there, after that sophomore season, junior and senior year, kind of did the same thing. And, it went really well. We won a lot of games, and, it was a lot of fun.
You told me you got to play some of those state championship games in the Scottrade Center, where the Blues play their home games. What was that like for you to be able to play in such a huge rink in a place where you watched the Blues as a kid, 2 rows from the glass, like you told me?
Yeah, it was actually really cool, especially my sophomore year, doing it for the first time. Standing in the net and then kind of looking behind and realizing, all right, that's where I sit for for the Blues games and everything. And it was, sophomore year, as a younger guy, you don't really think about it. You just kind of go out and play it. Then I started, junior year, you kind of see, all right, there's a lot of people here, and you kind of relate back to the year before, like, what you're thinking, what you did. But yeah, it all worked out. We were able to win a few state championships, and yeah, we'll always carry those with us.
I want to know what your mentality was and how you kept yourself so positive after you were a fourth string, like you said, kind of a fourth string goaltender as a freshman, and you had such high aspirations, I'm assuming, to play junior hockey, maybe get to a Division I scholarship one day. How in the world did you stay motivated as a fourth string goaltender to get to the starting goaltender role the very next year? How did you stay so positive?
I'm a big believer in everything happens for a reason, and just kind of trust the process and everything. Freshman year, looking back on it now, I was like, wow, that's a long ways away from where I am now. But at the same time, like, just stick to what I was doing, practice hard, when I got to play, just played my game, and, a couple of moving pieces, and it just all worked out. And, but yeah.
You're sounding a little bit like Joel Embiid, trust the process a little bit, but that's a good way to live life, man. That is definitely a good way to go. So after Christian College Bros High School, you kind of made a little couple of stops with St. Louis Selects, and now they're known as Car Shield AAA, as you told me. What was your experience like with that, and kind of away from Christian Bros, kind of with a new organization?
It was good. I mean, so for St. Louis hockey, we played both of those at the same time.
Okay.
And the biggest thing I learned, just to deal with a lot of hockey in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
From the start of August to April, it's go, 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 and you don't really get, a break, whether it's club or high school. You don't really get a big break or anything. So the biggest thing for me was learning how to deal with it and how to, play a lot of hockey through that span.
Going back to Christian Bros College real quick, I did want to ask you something about kind of like the coaching staff there and what they taught you. And first of all, did you have like a goaltending coach at that school, or was it just like a group of coaches, like head coach and assistant coach real quick?
Just a group, like head coach and 2 assistants. Okay. But so what I always had a goalie coach growing up from when I was 10 years old to now, Bruce Racine, who, he played in the NHL, and, obviously a huge guy I can lean on, and I've always leaned on from when I was, like I said, 10 to now.
Yep, and now you're here with Rob Liddell as a goaltending coach and Mo Mantha, obviously, and they've been good for you, obviously, in the progression of your game. So let's jump from St. Louis to now you're here in Brookings, in the present with the Brookings Blizzard. You've played a few games here this year so far. Now the record hasn't gone as you probably have gone to according to plan, and you kind of have hit some speed bumps, road bumps along the way, I should say. But what's funny is you weren't supposed to be with the Blizzard here this year originally, so you were originally tendered with the Minnesota Wilderness, a team that the Blizzard play quite a bit often. Kind of describe what that process was like to get you here to Brookings.
Well, I tendered probably, last month or two of the season last year, and then, going into the summer, going into main camp, the plan, is make that team and start the season with them. Then next thing you know, we go to main camp, final 4 goalies or whatever it was, and I don't end up making it. So from there to about a month later, it's full-on scramble mode. My dad and I were trying to figure out every single team, which goalies are coming back, what options are available, and had a family friend, that we contacted who knew Mo a little bit and got a hold of him and just basically got an invite to main camp, and that's all it was. And yeah, it was definitely a stressful summer overall.
Yeah. How did you stay, again, you mentioned everything happens for a reason, you trust the process, but was there another moment in those few weeks where you feel like you weren't going to be able to play junior hockey this year, and how'd you stay so positive during that time frame?
I always believed and knew I could play in this league, and if I was just given the opportunity. And one thing, my dad and I have always gone by is all it takes is one person to give you a chance, and Mo is that person. And just from there, it took off, and it's been going well so far. Like you said, I know the record hasn't been what we planned, but, personally for me, as a younger goalie, I've kind of learned a lot through these first few games, and it's just gone, I think pretty well for me.
And it also seems like you've built some really good relationships with some of the players as well. And ultimately, it's about the brotherhood, and it's about being able to formulate those relationships, because life at the end of the day is all about those relationships you build with those people. Have you been satisfied with those relationships and that brotherhood that you built with the Blizzard so far?
Yeah, like you said, being my first year away from home, it's a lot of learning experiences. And for me, living with 2 teammates, and Johnny Johnson and Hayden Karnick, we've they've helped me out so much over the course of these first couple months, and it's gone really well. And then the rest of the team, we've all gelled really well together and bonded pretty well.
And Hayden's been a part of the Blizzard for a few years now, and he kind of gets it. Is there something that he told you when you first started living together, like, hey, this is what Brookings is like? Has he been a kind of like an instrumental figure for you in getting comfortable with the city of Brookings?
Both the city of Brookings and getting a read on, how our practices go, what Coach Mantha is like, what, just how everything goes throughout the course of a season, because, I've never been away from home, never played junior hockey before, so just kind of leaned on him to get a lot of information, and, he was always there to help, and he still is, and it's been a really good resource for me.
What's been the biggest piece of advice or motivation resource, like you said, that Coach Mo Mantha or Devin Mantha, for that matter, have said to you that just kind of keeps your train on the tracks, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, just there's always somebody looking to take your spot, and you just kind of always have to push yourself. He talked to both me and McLean Dorr a couple weeks ago. Just we're here for a reason, but at the same time, we got to make sure we're focused and always come to the rink ready to play. And for me, with my dad, I've kind of always known that and always, understood that side of it. So, it kind of came easy to me, but at the same time, you take what he said and you understand why he's saying it. And, last year they had some goalie troubles, and we're trying to fix that, and yeah.
And you mentioned McLean Dorr. Now, a lot of goaltender relationships are really interesting. There may be some goalies who may not like each other and want to keep battling like, hey, this is my job. This is my job. No, you're going down. With you and McLean, that's not the case. You two are really close-knit together, and you both are really keened in on helping this team win a Robertson Cup one day. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, for sure. He's someone who is real easy to talk to. He's, you'll get goalies that kind of have an ego to them, but he's not like that at all. Whether I'm in the net or he's in the net, we both, support each other, and we'll talk about stuff throughout the week. And then with our goalie coach, Rob Liddell, he kind of treats him and I, and then Rob, we're kind of like a team of three that is just trying to, do our job and stay focused.
And the goalie fraternity is very real. The bond and the strong it is as real and as true as it gets. Because I played goalie myself for 2 years. Now, albeit I got to skate to the leg and had 7 stitches, so I could never play goalie again. But the goalie fraternity is for real, folks. So now we get to you a little bit more individually. Obviously, we talk about you and McLean wanting to bring this city a Robertson Cup. That is the ultimate goal at the end of the day. But another goal for you individually is to get a Division I scholarship, I'm sure, and eventually get to the big show one day. What do you need to do the rest of this year to improve your game individually in the net?
For me, just give my team a chance to win every single night. Whether we're playing a top team in the division, a bottom team in the division, doesn't matter. Any chance I can give our guys a chance to win, that's all you can ask for. And same thing for him. That's just what we're trying to do, and trying to do our part, because even though we're the goalies and everybody likes to spotlight, put the spotlight on us, we're just one guy, and all we can do is do our part, and we both get that.
You mentioned Hayden Carnett kind of helped you out a little bit with moving to the city and giving his insight on how things work here. So for you specifically, your relationship with the city of Brookings and the Blizzard are really popular in the community. We did Gassing Out Cancer. We did the Golf Scramble, which is something that the Blizzard take a lot of pride in, is working in the community. So kind of just describe what your relationship has been like with the city of Brookings and its fan base since you got here from St. Louis.
It's been really good. The support here is, you can't ask for much better. They love their hockey, and they definitely love their fighting too.
That's true.
We did the golf outing at the beginning of the year, and was talking to one fan, and he's like, "Yeah, I love the hockey part of it, but I really, I just come to, watch a few fights here and there, and see a couple guys throw punches." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't blame you. Me too."
Right. Are you a big UFC guy?
A little bit. The big fights I'll definitely
right.
tune into and pay attention with. But I always like a good hockey fight. I think it's something that, people don't think it should be in the game, but those people, they may not understand why they're fighting, or the so-called code that they talk about. But I think it should always be in the game, and I'm glad, from junior hockey on, it's kind of carried on. And
you can use that to kind of spark your team. Mark Leach did it a couple of weeks ago with the Bruins, and against Austin, I should say, and against Aberdeen as well. So he's kind of the guy on the team that likes to drop the mitts. So maybe we'll be seeing a couple of fights coming up here inside Larson Ice Center when the Blizzard are in action. But before we get to the rapid fire segment, support for the Blizz Show podcast is brought to you by our friends at H&R Block. Now, the tax reform is going to be affecting everyone's next tax return. So if you don't want to be surprised at tax time next year, what you guys need to do is you need to go visit H&R Block to find out how it's going to affect you and your taxes. So if you're in the Brookings or the Watertown area, what you need to do, new clients have to go see Wayne Nagstead, and be sure to tell them that Weston DeWitt, that's the voice of the Blizzard, Weston DeWitt, sent you for a 25% discount off your first tax preparation. Now, H&R Block in Brookings is located at the University Mall, and for more information, call 605-692-5715. Again, that's 605-692-5715. Rapid fire time with Jack Caruso. Now, rapid fire with McLean Dorr, the other goaltender, was absolutely awesome. A couple of the same questions are going to be asked, so for those who have seen it, will know some of the questions that are coming, but Caruso does not know what's coming, and I'm interested to see and get his thoughts on some of these questions. Question number one. We've talked a lot about the Blues for maybe 5 minutes at first. That's your team this year. You got Jake Allen between the pipes. You got a solid-looking team. Tarasenko's just as sick as it gets. Let's put it as simply. Yep. How are the Blues going to do this year through your eyes?
Between me and my two brothers, we love talking Blues hockey, and we always have. But this year I love their team, top to bottom. You know, they're very deep at forward, and I think the D-core is really solid. And some people give a little bit of hate to Jake Allen. I'm a really big supporter of his. I really like
the goaltending fraternity, folks.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not afraid to, rip on a goalie if I think it's right. But for Jake, I think you see his game, and he's very athletic. He's very technical, and I think last year was a little bit of a rough little bit of a rough patch. But yeah. I think with this roster, he can do really well.
So question number 2, who is the best goaltender in the NHL as we spit here today?
Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick. That's your player comparison. That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, I'm maybe a little biased there, but I think he, like I said earlier, he always keeps his team in games. He always gives them a chance to win, and, he'll make 3 or 4 saves during a night that has no business making.
McLean did say John Gibson was the best goaltender in the league.
Yeah.
And that's only because he said that was because Rob Liddell compared him, the goaltending coach of the Blizz, compared him, McLean Dort, to John Gibson. So I called him out on that. But it's all fun and games, folks. So question number 3, another great question that I love asking the goaltenders, because I'm for some reason there's quirks inside of me that just love asking this question. Which goalie has the best pad pattern in the league?
I really like Antti Ranta for Arizona.
We're best friends here. Yes, finally a Coyotes reference. Anyways, continue.
He definitely gets a shout out. As far as the best, it's got to be someone who wears Vaughn.
Okay, yeah, you're a Vaughn guy. I forgot. That's right.
I like Matt Murray. He usually has good stuff, but I may have to go with Quick again.
Okay. No, they're good pads. I agree. I like them.
He's very he doesn't like a lot of change.
Yeah.
So it's usually very similar year after year, and I kind of like that. You don't need to change a whole lot, just kind of simple, whatever works. And obviously it's working. So for him, I kind of like what he brings back every year and what he uses.
You lost me at Antti Ranta. So and whatever you just said is exactly correct, because you lost me when you said Antti Ranta. Big Coyote supporter, as many of the fans who tune into this show understand. Question number 4. He did mention the Rams, and he got a little bit of a sour taste in his mouth when we were talking about the Rams earlier. So question number 4 is, are you still a little bitter about the fact that the Rams are not in St. Louis anymore?
Yes, that they're not still in St. Louis, but I'm still a fan. I get a lot of heat from my family about it. They don't like it.
Come on, Caruso's.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a football team. I'm a big NFL fan, and they're doing really well this year. But to be fair, I was a fan, 3, 4, 5 years ago when they weren't doing well. So it's not like I'm a bandwagon fan.
And I've been a Coyote fans through and through. So, hey, the true fans, we understand what that pain is really like.
Yeah, they're Coyotes. They're a young group, but they're going to figure it out.
I appreciate the support, because I need all of it I can get. Question number 5. A very popular thing amongst these boys is video games. We did ask Sam Antonucci this question. We are going to ask the goaltender himself. The big common question for video gamers these days, Fortnite is the holy grail right now. So is it Fortnite or is it NHL?
It's NHL. Fortnite.
He's 5 for 5 on these questions, folks.
Fortnite. I'll play it a lot. I just get too frustrated with it, and these guys, they always ask me to play, and they think I'm blowing them off. But I'm just no, I'm having a good day so far. I don't need to get too frustrated with this game. It's a stupid video game,
right.
But I'll play it a good amount. But NHL has always been my game. I've played it forever, and it's just myself, playing some guy online, and.
Right.
I just always love playing NHL.
Do you play as be a pro, you create yourself as a goaltender, even though because the goaltender control mode in NHL is very hard to control?
I hate playing goalie.
Okay.
So what we'll do, though, is we'll play that be a pro where each guy's a position, and my brother's roommate is our goalie. So,
oh, really? Okay.
So we'll score a lot of goals, but we'll leave him out to dry. So we'll lose games 10-5, and everybody will just rip on him that it was his fault, and he'll appreciate the shout out.
Yeah. Do you play as Jack Caruso the forward, or Jack Caruso the defenseman, or just no Jack Caruso at all?
Left wing.
Left
wing, right shot. I'm a very big Ovechkin fan, so try to play a little bit like him in the video game, but
wow.
My centerman can never get me the puck.
This is a first. The goaltender is not the goaltender in NHL. Wow. Last question. We did extend one more because the goaltenders get special treatment on the show. Best summer activity when you go back to St. Louis?
Definitely going to the lake with our
oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
family.
Your lake house. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It's just, especially when, you have a big, long season and everything, and it's easy to always want to do hockey, but the lake it's kind of an escape for us to just have fun and not worry about hockey. And this year was a little bit caught off guard with the whole tender thing, and that didn't work out, so didn't get as much time as we'd like to, but at the same time, I think next year it should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. They're playing the intro video board behind us. I don't know if you can hear it behind us, but that is the intro video before the boys come on the ice. He was a part of that. He was supposed to be one of the members that screamed into the camera, but I was in a good mood that day, and he only got to do one shot.
Yeah.
So got him in there and got him out. Like I said, goaltenders get special treatment around here because hockey players just know that.
I'm not a screamer.
I
let like the big boys like Leacher and
he scared the crap out of me.
Mines would have been good. Like I'm a pretty calm, cool, collected person. And
I think your headshot would beg to differ because you look like you're a little intimidating in your headshot.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
We may need to redo that.
No. I like it. Your headshot isn't. You're a goaltender. You're supposed to be intimidating. That's the way it is. But you're such a calm, collective kid. You got a good head on you, buddy. I think I'm proud to call you a friend, man. Keep doing your thing. Okay, you got a good head on you. Just make sure you go out there and stay humble, like you said.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job. That's Jack Caruso, folks, on the Blizz Show podcast. Before he goes, what we usually like to do is make sure you guys can follow these guys on social media and keep up with what's going on in their lives. So where can people follow you on Twitter and Instagram?
Instagram is Jack Caruso _, and then Twitter is J_Caruso31. I don't expect too much on my Instagram. It's pretty dry right now.
Do you prefer Twitter or Instagram?
Twitter is always a funny laugh, or
that's what I'm talking about.
It's good, especially like for hockey reasons. All the breaking news and stuff's on Twitter, so I like to follow that. But it just seems like it's always a good laugh and kind of gets me in a good mood.
Everything he has said is exactly what I would do. He has gotten 100%, folks. That's Jack Caruso on the Blizz Show podcast. Good luck to the rest of the season, buddy. Keep doing your thing, okay?
Thank you very much.
Jack Caruso, Weston DeWitt, Blizz Show podcast. We'll see you next time.